You are going to have bad teams. I'm sure I didn't need to explicitly state that, but especially in low elo, you will get players that actually have no idea what's going on. And if you want to carry them, you're going to have to play out of your mind, right? Well, not really. A lot of players assume that Challenger Smurfs have this mindset of doing absolutely nothing with their team. They ignore them, make their own plays, take all of the resources, and solo carry the game, all because they have crazy mechanics and just outplay everyone. However, this couldn't be further from the truth. Today we're going to show you that all it takes is a tiny bit of knowledge, and you will be able to carry bad teammates just like a Challenger Smurf too. Let's get right into it, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. To start, let's look at a Smurf game that I played in Gold Elo. It starts off with me getting a successful counter gank off on a top lane. We get to push in the wave, get Aatrox a reset timer, and more importantly, I now see Lee Sin catching the wave. This gives me time to start looking at other objectives uncontested, like this top crab, as well as a gank mid. I know Annie has Flash Ignite right now and the ability to get an instant stun off with an EW combo. If she just goes in when I get there, this is pretty much a 100% guaranteed kill. But let's just see how she messes it up. Annie has the stun ready as well as W, but she just doesn't see the play. Most people are probably pretty frustrated here with their teammates. But what if I told you that I never cared if Annie actually flashed in for the kill in the first place? One of the main issues players have when dealing with bad teams is the expectation that their teammates will see the game the same way as them and follow up on their plays. Yes, I could have a bunch of really good ideas, but if it requires my teammates to play in a specific way, you can bet that they're going to find some way to mess it up. Because of this, we need to make plays that work, regardless of how our teammates are going to execute them. I didn't need this gank mid to be a kill for it to be a good play. In fact, I assumed that it wouldn't go the way I wanted because I know that this is low elo. The real goal of this gank mid wasn't to get the kill. It was to guarantee other options that I wanted, such as a bottom crab, a potential invade, or a gank bottom. Annie actually did 0 damage during this gank. However, just the damage and wave control that I got alone means that I can be less afraid of Ahri coming to interrupt me at any of my potential other plays. Realistically, I just wanted to get the inner track to get to the other side of the map before Lee Sin could. If I had to run all the way around like this, all of my other options would drop in probability. This gank was really just to get to the other side, and if it happened to work, then great. If not, I get to my other goals and I'm still happy even if Annie sits here and does literally nothing. In the game, you can hear me saying this exact same thing. I don't care if I get charmed here. I should just flash in. Doesn't, that's okay. Again, I'm not relying on my teammate to do that. It's totally okay if she doesn't decide to do it, because the real goal is getting mid prio to get this crab. So doing things that don't need it to go one specific way is one really important way to play in low elo. Having multiple outs from a scenario is really nice. While Ahri decided to walk up again for some reason, and Annie actually pulled the trigger eventually, we could clearly see the disconnect in how the two of us were thinking during the play. If we know that this disconnect will happen, we can make plans around it and not overly complicate the decisions that our teammates have to make. Even in this game, it wasn't just this play that I was using this mentality for. Remember that top gank at the start? Let's go look at that. As I'm doing my first clear towards top, I take a look as I'm getting into my topside quadrant and see this. Because of the aggressive early trading and Garen's health, I do have a few options now. I could have Aatrox push the third wave and we could dive him. Additionally, we could even invade the Lee Sin together if we were strong enough, or Garen decided to recall. However, if you were paying close attention earlier, you'd remember that I did neither of these things. Instead, I decided to do my red and just counter gank the Lee Sin. But why? While both of these plays could potentially win the game outright, I don't want to do something that requires my teammates to have to use additional brain power. If I want Aatrox to manipulate his wave in a specific way here for my play to work, I'm going to have to ping him, type, or do something to get him to understand, which there's no guarantee he would, or that he would be able to execute it even if he did. In addition to this, he would have to have chat and pings unmuted, which I just don't know. And even then, I would also probably want Annie to try and get mid prio on the next wave too. There's just way too much that needs to happen in order for this to work cleanly. In Challenger, if I ping this, do Annie and Aatrox know what to do with minimal communication? Probably, sure. But that's because their game sense is much better developed, and that's why they're in Challenger. Your teammates are not going to have the same level of understanding, which is why we need to pick easy plays. While I'm doing this, I can just look at what Aatrox is doing. If the stars align and he's managing his wave well, I just go for the dive or the invade. If not, I can go for the counter gank. I have a play that works regardless of what he does, so why would I try to change his actions and cause him to misstep? This wave is crashing, so I expect Lee Sin to probably try and gank it. I'm going to potion up just because of that. It's important to not try and force plays even if they might be good. Just do things that work with what your teammates are already doing. There's no reason to force them to try and play in new ways when they just won't be able to do that. Let's take a look at some late game scenarios because this gets incredibly important in that stage of the game as well. For some context, I am really fed. We have Baron and we just finished a team fight where 2 members of both teams are left alive. We basically just brute force the inhibitor due to our strength and then leave to go do the dragon. At this point, I have a ton of gold to go spend and I'm really not keen to stay on map and go do more stuff. Just gonna reset early and spam ping this off. You really have to ping. People will just do stuff non-stop. Even though I ping it and I'm the most fed member, they're clearly not listening to me, and now we just have to problem solve. Would I love to just clear all of my camps and maybe set up Baron Vision? Yeah, but with my team staying bottom and just continuing to push without a care in the world, I don't have much of a choice. If I go farm camps right now, my team can just die for free, and I wouldn't be in a position to do anything about it. Clearly, I can't ping them more to back off, even though I think that's the best play, but I'm not worried about that. I just need to find a play that works regardless of what they're doing. I need to be somewhere that gives me counterplay, and if I run bottom, there's a large chance I just get there late after they're already dead, and I can't do anything. Because of this, I made the decision to skip all of my camps and just run towards somewhere where I will have counterplay, topside. While in hindsight, I could have gotten bottom in time before the fight, I couldn't have known that in the game. I couldn't play around my team inting or not inting bottom, I just couldn't predict it. So I needed to get something for it regardless, and because of my decision to go top, I take 2 towers and the inhibitor. The point is that you really can't change your teammates' play patterns most of the time. Instead of being frustrated about it and wondering why they aren't doing what you want them to, realize that 4 other people all have their own ideas about how the game should be played. If you're stuck on the fact that you think your idea is best, you're just going to end up inting, even if your play might have in theory been correct. Theory doesn't matter when reality is right there in front of you. If we look later at this game, you'll see a perfect example. We get a few good picks in the enemy jungle, and at this point, the death timers are really long. Because of that inhib I took earlier, I have the idea to go for the end here. I have Flash, Ult, Zhonya's, and only 3 squishy members of the enemy team are alive. We should just be able to dive and close the game easily, especially because I'm 15-2. The first thing I do now is start pushing top, but again, you'll see that my teammates clearly don't have the same idea. Once I ping, I'll give them about a second to start walking to me before I abandon my idea very quickly. Is it bad not to go for the end here? I think so, but it's clear that my teammates don't think the same way. And instead of trying to force it and do it anyways, hoping that they'll come, I'll settle for a more suboptimal play, just because it's easier and already agrees with what my teammates are doing. In the end, I'll probably win the game anyways, and there's way less of a chance of messing up. But this is another idea, right? I can't force that play. I really want to force it, but it's just not gonna happen. And rather than dwelling on, hey, we could have just won the game right there, it's better just to do a play that works and not force ideas. Just, if your team has already decided on something they want to do or clearly cannot support an idea, don't make them. Do not make them do something they clearly don't want to do. Sure enough, we do end up closing the game. Even though it takes a few minutes longer than it probably should have, I didn't risk throwing over my ego. Low elo players usually struggle to coordinate with their teams, and that's why they feel their teammates are so bad. But Challenger Smurfs are going to be able to pub stomp most games even with god-awful teams and their poor decision making. They're more flexible in how they approach their plays and they account for their teammates being bad. When you stop expecting everything to go a certain way and instead account for misplays and disconnects, you'll have a lot more success in dealing with teams that you think are quote-unquote uncarryable. To recap, look for plays that have multiple winning outcomes, regardless of how your team executes. If it needs to go one specific way to work, it's probably not going to. Second, ping your ideas, but give up on them quickly if it's clear your team isn't going to follow. Having the suboptimal play that everyone is on board with is much better than a good play that no one follows.
So you might be asking yourself, why go to skillcap.com to improve when I could just watch YouTube guides or play the game? Well, let me show you. Let's say you're a jungler who's struggling to climb the ladder. Not only would you get over 40 site-exclusive courses for jungle, but maybe really what you've been struggling with is ganking as a jungler. Well, we got you covered with 4 different courses breaking down how to gank when you're jungling. Not only do we have the largest catalog of guides for League of Legends in the entire world with over 1,500 videos to watch, but these are then curated by the top coaches and players into courses on every skill and topic you need to master in order to truly improve and climb the ladder. If all of this wasn't enough, we haven't even touched on our catalog of over 700 Smurf commentaries, where a challenger expert shows you how to climb out of your rank, and you're guaranteed to get any questions answered by them directly. Not to mention, we're the only service to offer a rank improvement guarantee. If you don't climb at least 5 divisions while actively using SkillCap, you can claim a refund, no questions asked. So what are you waiting for? Head to skillcap.com and get the rank you've always wanted. Link in the description below.
If you enjoyed this guide and want more, make sure to follow us on the official SkillCap Twitter. Also feel free to send me any topic suggestions or replays that you think are cool, and you might see it featured in another video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.